Good morning, everybody. Hi, how are you? It is I, your master of ceremonies. Yeah, well, the host of this wonderful show. It's Wednesday, though, so our co-host, Dan Morgan, will be joining us momentarily. I'm sorry, I'm fiddling with this, so I'm going to put it away. That was a McDonald's toy, by the way. My daughter bought a Happy Meal. She's 15. Yeah, but that was in the Happy Meal, so kind of cool. A little Rubik's Cube. Little 6-person Rubik's Cube. That's gonna, here's the thing. This Rubik's Cube can bring you joy because you can fiddle with it and it's pretty easy to get back to where it was. Okay? Pretty easy. The other Rubik's Cube, not a joyful toy. At least not for me. Can never figure it out. But then I figured out how to look it up on the internet to solve it. That's called cheating. We don't like cheating. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. How are you this morning? I hope you're going to be encouraged. Where I am right here, it's going to be 59 degrees today, which, normal time of the summer, if you said 59, people would be going, that's freezing. But this time of year, you say 59, you say, oh my God, that's so warm. I remember when my wife and I flew into the Bahamas. We left here on December 30th. It was so cold. Can't even tell you. And we flew in to the Bahamas, and the pilot came on and said, it's 70 degrees here in the Bahamas and Nassau, whichever one we landed in Nassau, I think. Anyway, no, we landed on Paradise Island, but anyway, not where we were staying. Obviously, there's no airport there. But when we landed, he announced it was 70 degrees on the ground. This is before we got there. We landed in. The guys on the ground crew were wearing parkas. I was like, I'm getting into shorts, man, as soon as I can. So that kind of tells you what it's like in different subjects and different things going on. You have a different perspective of how things are going. So what's interesting is, as far as being encouraged, is that it doesn't matter really what the circumstances are. You can find the good because somebody is finding the good in whatever circumstance you're in. Someone could find the good. And of course, there are people who could find the bad too. But which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that finds the bad in the situation, your current situation? Or do you want to find someone who sees the good in your current situation? And the good could be potential. There's potential that this could become a better situation based on, typically it'll be based on your choices and the choices that we make. If you're in a bad situation, make better choices. I know sometimes people are in a bad situation because of what other people's choices, and that they are captive in those choices. And so that's one of the things we're going to talk about today, Dan and I. We're going to talk about the choices that we make and how we can make choices that put us into captivity, or we can make choices that bring freedom. And the choices that we make, we have to, I think in my mind, we have to make lots of choices. We have several people tuning in. Tura, Glenn Webster. Yes, it is for the bloody Christmas. Wayne Trop. Hello there, Wayne. Glenn says, what shot are you wearing, Wayne? Oh, you and Wayne are hanging out together. Off air today, says Wayne. What shirt? What was that then, Glenn? What shirt are you wearing, Wayne? What are you talking about, Glenn? I don't understand. Anyway, I'm so glad, Glenn. I miss you, man. I don't know where you've been, but good to hear. You got the feet up with this coffee. Do you put creamer in your coffee? That's the question we want to ask Glenn Webster. And Wayne Trop. Oh, man. That's good. New Jersey shorts. It's a shirt Making fun of my Jersey accent, Joyzy accent. Ah, okay. I don't know how he hears you though, Wayne. Must be he hears you on the radio. Anyway, Wayne, good. Thanks for being on and listening. I appreciate you, buddy. And I appreciate you, Glenn D. Webster. Glenn D. Webster. And Tour Arsala with Happy Wine Wednesday. Doesn't even drink wine, but he'll say Happy Wine Wednesday. I would rather say Happy Hump Day. New Joyzy Shoit. Ay, Glenn, you nut. Actually, that's kind of more of an English accent. Glad you're here, buddy. I'm serious. I like to wear crazy Ron John shirts and my MoreJoy shirts, of course. And yeah, so God, you guys are fantastic. I love you guys. Glenn, Wayne, thanks for tuning in. So what we're talking about today is making choices that, can be encouraging to someone else, if not yourself. Making yourself and putting yourself in a place where there's more joy. How about that? Rake in the name of the here. Let's do this real quick. MoreJoy Radio. Yeah, man. So, but I got to put those lower so they can be in the background. And my shot, little test, little quiz, a little television know-how. You're supposed to cut down on as much on the headroom as you want. In fact, when we used to do it in professional television, that's about where we would want to keep it as far as headroom. That's what we call it, headroom. Don't allow too much headroom. This is the primary shot you want for for television news and production. Anyway, so let me see here. So where were we? I got off. Sorry, ADHD. The love of my life, or the downfall of my life. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk more about, as you can see, so do I, Wayne. It doesn't matter anymore, though, buddy. Nowadays, I've been watching, and I've been watching lots of Facebook Lives. And while I'm extremely handsome, oh my gosh, I almost choked on that. That was a word I almost choked on. We definitely, I've definitely seen some people who have in the past probably would have been better off just doing radio. But alas, it all depends on your delivery, my brother. And it sounds like you have a pretty good delivery. I'll have to tune in and watch some of your Facebook Lives. I'm glad that you've tuned in to watch this. I would like for you to share. How about that? Anyway, my buddy Dan is here. We're going to bring him in and chit-chat with him this morning about... Are you there, Daniel? There he is. There's.
When I stream from home, my antiquated computer does not like Chrome. So.
Oh. Well, you can use Firefox, though.
Yeah, I did. I ended up with Firefox, and it worked.
Oh, okay. All right. All righty. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I missed you last week, pal.
Yeah.
I really did. That's okay. Because, what we were going to talk about is basically what we're talking about today. Good. And that is we're talking about choices. Uh-huh. And how I remember one time, Dan, I went into a hearing room in the Senate when I used to work there, and I was doing a hearing, setting up the camera and stuff like that for the hearing. And as the people from the committee were setting up for the hearing as well, they brought in this poster, and this was years ago, but it was like where the state of the internet was at the time. And it was mammoth, of course. Nothing like it is today. Today it's quadrillion times bigger. Yeah. But at the time, it was still quite a sight to behold. But they had a poster that had all of these little ways to go. Off like one, you had the hub. And in those days, you had two major hubs. And then you had lots of other little ISPs and obviously all these other things that were on this map, and all these little paths to all these different places. And I remember having a revelation as I was just kind of sitting there with my camera, waiting to turn on the camera and start shooting the senators. Shooting? No, anyway. That's the proper term, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Shooting the senators. But so we see, I know, we set it all. I had it all set up to shoot the senators, and I'm looking at this poster, and I said to myself, "That's a human being. That one dot right there, and all those little tentacles that go off that one dot are the choices that human being can make every split second of their lives. That many choices you can make, you know? And if we do it of our own accord, well, first of all, this was the big revelation, was that no matter which choice we make, God's prepared. He gives us free will. He doesn't know what choice we're going to make, okay? But he's ready for any choice that we might make. And he's ready for the next step. And then the next step is the same thing. 100 million different choices you can make.
Yeah.
And that's how big God is, that he can understand and see that for every human being. That's, I was sitting there going, holy smokes, what a God he is. And because that's absolutely with his, inside his omnipotence. I mean, he knows what could happen. He knows what can happen. And I know that he knows what will happen in the large scheme of things, but because of free will, I think there's people say predestination. There's a big difference between people who believe, right, and predestination. And so I don't know that I'm kind of on the fence as far as that he knows what choice we're going to make. I think that he doesn't necessarily, but he knows what choices we could make, and he's prepared for those choices. What do you think? What is your thought on that, buddy? I'm putting you on the spot.
I disagree.
Okay.
And that is to have a sense that God doesn't know what we're going to choose beforehand is to say that there are limitations to him. So the nuance of free will is that God allows us to make the choice, but because he's omniscient, he's all-knowing, he knows that choice before we've made it or as we've made it. So you go to the scripture, Psalm 139 is perfect for it. It says, "Oh Lord, you've searched me and you know me. You know when I sit down and you know when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down. You're acquainted with all my ways." And that goes on from there. He says, before even a word is even spoken from my tongue, you know it. But the problem for most nominal Christians, for most searching spiritualists, people who are saying, hey, I want to believe in something, I know there's something out there, is that they don't want to be automatons or robots or controlled.
And they think that's what they're going to be. They think
that's what they're going to be. And we look at current stuff on the news and we look at social media and we realize, holy crap, they have an algorithm for that. I'm sitting in my living room and I'm talking to Echo and I'm saying, hey, Echo, play the latest Rolling Stones. And it starts playing the latest Rolling Stones, but it's listening to me as I'm having conversations with my wife and my kids. And all of a sudden there's advertisements that pop up on my phone that are exactly what I just talked about. And you just kind of go, how is this possible? Well, it's possible because of an algorithm. But the beautiful thing is, we are not, as humans, we're not algorithm friendly. So there's a lot of, hell in a handbasket people right now say that we're going there and we're falling apart as a nation. I believe in a sovereign God who loves us.
I agree.
And made us independent, and we can defy any algorithm that's out there. We can stand up and say, no, enough is enough when it is enough. And we also have to grow up and stand up and stop being such narrow-minded, bigoted people who don't love first. And so it's a tough call for us in the church world, because the church unfortunately looks like a bunch of people at a rally who are about to storm the Capitol building, if you will. And I don't want to be that church. I want to be the church that says, I hear you. I hear you. I may not agree with you. I don't think that might line up with the Bible. And let me tell you what I think God wants for you. But that's an experience that you get to have with God, because you get to make the choices that you make. And all I can do is love you in the midst of it. So I don't know if I'm off topic, but I do think that we have free will, and we also have a God who is all knowing, who knows what we're thinking and what choices we're going to make. And he's, in his infinite wisdom, has already set up holy moments, if you will, divine appointments, some people call it, so that we either get back on track or have the opportunity to learn and grow. I think we believe in a God who wants us and allows us to fail, and to fail miserably. I like Buzz Lightyear, and Woody says to him, "That's not flying, that's falling with style." I think our life is a lot of falling with style, and the Lord teaches us a lot along the way.
Well, I think one of the ways he teaches us is this thing called gravity that we have to deal with, and that's why it's always falling. Yes. It's always falling, no matter what you're doing. Even if it looks like you're flying, you're really gliding and falling if you're not keeping yourself up. Anyway, but okay, so I've done that before. I've had, when I had that revelation, I tried to examine what I was thinking about, and I came to, he's all knowing, and so he knows what choice we're going to make before we make it. He knows what words we're going to speak before we speak them. I totally agree with that. And so I guess what I may have done in my mind was that, I don't know, man. I don't know. We have such an ability. I guess it's just in our realm. We don't know what we're going to do next, obviously. Right. But God does. And so, but we have a million choices in our realm to make. Mm-hmm. He just knows which one it's going to be. Yeah. And so what happened? It is because then people say, well, why does he allow you to make choices that are detrimental to your life and your love and people around you and all of that kind of thing? If he knows what's going to happen, then how do you reconcile as a Christian? How do you reconcile with pain, misery, and things like that?
And that's a really tough question. I think every single one of the New Testament writers wrestled with it. And Paul's probably the one that most talks about it. He says, if I suffer for Christ's sake. My suffering is only a minuscule amount compared to what he suffered on our behalf. And so it's sort of like going through a lousy time. My son just had a lousy time with a boss, and he's hopefully not listening. Just realized that he had to quit his job. And that meant a shift in everything that he was, in his economy, in how he made sure that he could pay his mortgage and care for his wife and all these other things. And, making that choice was a very difficult thing. But in the midst of that suffering came a freeing moment that realized he has the ability to set his destiny. He has the ability to start something new, and it may end up not being the right choice, but he's going to learn from it. So I often will say, I say this from the pulpit a lot. I said, what God allows, he'll use. And what he allows us to fall flat on our faces. David was a murderer and an adulterer, and yet he was a man after God's own heart. Those things don't sit together well. Everybody, people who like to be armchair quarterbacks or armchair theologians will say, the Bible is just awful because it's full of contradictions. That's true out of context.
Exactly.
But if you take the context, and when I mean context, I mean the whole of the Bible, you see that it has a concise and clear and cohesive witness to who God is for the world.
That's right. You're absolutely right. Well, actually, your son, we don't have to bank on him too much, but I thought he had his own gig going, his own
He's
company.
doing freelance for a long time, and he began working for a production company.
Okay.
And, he just came up across a personality that was
Yep. Happens all the time.
really
It's
tough.
happened to me many times. And you know what? You just have to have peace. I will tell you this though. You said something, and we can take a side thing. I remember, and maybe not somebody's favorite thing, but one of my favorite people was Jane Holmes Dixon, who was the bishop in Washington.
Yep.
And she had different politics than other people, but then, we all have different politics than other people, but her love for God was without question. I mean, she just, in the way she put things for people, I know people just felt, there was such a beautiful thing. And I got a call from a doctor calling, but anyway, I'll have to ignore that for right now. And now here it comes again. This is anyway.
You need to take it?
Maybe. Hold on. Hello?
You're live.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. Okay. Well, tell her to hold off because I'll have to call back to the office in about an hour. Is that okay? All right, thanks. Well, there you go. Your insurance company won't cover this or that or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I can't believe they don't know I'm on the air. Okay, so speaking of Jane Dixon, one of the things when I was 14, when she was ordained to the diaconate, she asked me to be a reader. And I was so honored, And afterwards, she's like, Lay, thank you so much for reading for me, because she's from Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
She had a heavy Mississippi accent. And I said, oh, Jane, I love to. I said, and you know what? One day when I get married, you have to marry me. It's 14. I said this to her. And so, when Mary and I got engaged, I called Jane, and she was on sabbatical. And when she came off sabbatical, Mary and I were celebrating my birthday at Maggiano's, and the phone rang, and I saw the DC area code, and I went, ooh, that might be her. So I picked up the phone. Lay, I do not remember making you that promise. She goes, but I'm sure that I did. So I'll be happy to do that. Let's get together, whatever. So, but we got together, and I told her the story that I, made up in my head or whatever, of the fact that both of my grandparents died in early 1971. And I mean, my dad's dad and my dad's mom. I mean, my dad's mom and my mom's dad.
Yeah.
And Mary was born in October of 71. So in my little head, I was like, yep, you know what? They got together and they picked a soul for their little boy, their little grand boy, and sent him down. And I said to Jane, it was destiny. And she said, and she was very kind. She didn't, knock me down. She goes, no, Lee, it's no such thing as destiny. It's called providence.
That's great.
Yeah. And I thought to myself right then, Dan, I said, oh, I'm going to have to remember that forever. And whenever someone brings up destiny, because that was absolutely from God. I mean, she said that, and I was like, yes, that's absolutely correct. And we have to believe that, in that we believe in an omnipotent God, that everything is providence.
Yeah.
It's all God ordered. And if you look up providence in the Bible, that's what it says. It says God ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything in this world is providential. Anything that happens is providential. And if I'm getting chills right now, if you think about that, right? Everything that happens is providential. It's God ordered.
Mm.
And we know, as Christians, we know that it's all ordered for good. you know,
Yeah.
and it's like you said, people say the Bible is so full of contradictions. No, not in the whole thing. Same with our lives. If we look at our lives, the whole of our lives, which continues on after earth, is providentially good, and it will be absolutely better than we can imagine.
Yeah.
So
I just preached this Sunday from the story of Abraham, and God asked him. It was a test. God asked him if he'd take his son and sacrifice his son. Now we think, gosh, that's child abuse. That's all weird stuff. And at the time, it was pretty common in Canaanite culture that child sacrifice was believed to bring about some measure of grace.
Right.
Blood for life, blood let for blessing in life. It was just this a spiritual as well as a strange cultural dynamic. And then when he got to that place, his son says, "Dad, where's the sacrifice?" And Abraham's confidence in the sovereignty of God was, in his head, I'm sure, because we don't see it in the words, God will provide a lamb. God will provide. So, just as he's about to plunge the knife into his son, and we don't get the dialogue like, "Wait, Dad," I'm sure that Isaac wasn't quiet when he was being tied up and put on top of a bunch of logs. But
in our faith, though, I mean, who knows? You never know. Yeah,
you just don't know. And there, as he looks up, he's stopped by an angelic being and said, in paraphrase, "You passed the test. You're willing to put it all on the line for me." And as he looks up, there's a ram caught in the thicket that he can sacrifice. And we're in that place where providence always comes. Sometimes at the 11th hour. Sometimes at the very last minute, once we finally pass the test, or other times just out of God's grace and abundance, He gives it to us for His glory. And
call your beautiful boy and tell him providential, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah.
So, I said to him that he has lots of opportunities ahead because he's already proven himself in the field.
Absolutely.
So lots of people that will run to support him to make up for the lack of support that he's had from his boss.
Yeah. I mean, I had a good friend who was a shooter, and they used to fly him in. CBS would fly him in to Atlanta. Is that where Augusta? They would fly him in to Augusta to do all the B-roll for the upcoming Masters, and he would go in there and he would walk around the course and take these shots. You've seen them. You've seen when these beautiful shots of the course. Well, that's Dave Silver. Was anyway. I think he's retired and living in Florida, but they still may fly him in to do it. Who knows? But he just had that eye, and your boy has the same eye.
Yeah.
As far as the stuff that I've seen, which I've not seen anything recently, but the stuff that he did before, I was like, what great framing. I was just talking to everybody about headroom when you're going on TV, and how and it's ruined. This is not the norm anymore. Now pretty much everybody's where you are, centered, because that's how you take a photograph. But video or TV, you want to have the person sitting up straight and just a little bit of headroom when you're framing the shot. Yeah, right. But it's not that, the norms now have been, very much, who needs to do that? Who needs to use a $20, $30, $40, $50,000 camera? Just use your phone. That's the way that it's become. I mean, unfortunately, people don't have an expectation of, although they do have an expectation of 4K and 5K and 3K and whatever, they want to see a picture of things that are just completely crystal clear.
Yeah.
But phones do that now. So I don't know, man. It's crazy how we approach things. But God doesn't. He works only in 5K. So everything I'll try and make some kind of God reference there. But back to choices that we make, like you said, I mean, I think every choice we make is providential. In other words, he already knew what choice we were going to make. We didn't necessarily. But one of the things that I've said to you a million times, one of the great lyrics that from a song that I just, that, commits me to what I'm doing is, how close can I get, Lord, without losing all control? When you're talking about becoming, someone who's a worshiper and a lover of Christ and a solid Christian, how close can I get in my relationship with you without losing all control? Well, the answer, of course, is you can't get close if you don't let go of control.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say, I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to be there, whatever, but you're not going to have the correct choices in your life. You're not going to make, all the great choices until you just surrender. You have to surrender. I mean, how do you feel about all that blubbery I just made?
Well, I thought you were going to say, the great theologian Mick Jagger, you can't always get what
you want. That's true too. I say that all the. That's the answer you give to your kids when they say, that's not fair. Can't always get what you want. Yeah, I've done that before. I've sung that to my kids. Just go, bah. They get grumpy.
I don't think what you were saying was blubber. I think, we are people who struggle with control issues. And I think that's the heart of the human nature. The fallen nature was we didn't have to have control before we were disobedient to God. And now, as a people who are born in disobedience, that's really hard for people to swallow. But I think it doesn't take long for us to realize that we are not perfect.
Right.
So as we start to realize that, we realize that we have too many control issues, and it is out of our control. So
I have this picture of walking with God, in a relationship that's close, and he's leading in path, and you see something happening and you say, well, you know what, God, I got this.
Right.
No, you don't. I got this one, God. I got this one, God. I think, because you become so proud and you've had such a good time listening and following direction, you think you become to the point where you go, okay, now I've got it. No, not now. No. Never. And I do it. Guilty.
Sure.
I've stood there and talked to somebody and said, I got this, God. I know what to say, But I've learned that when I do that, the outcomes are not always outstanding. But when I let God speak, number one, I don't ever remember what I said because it wasn't something I said.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I realized that. When I don't remember what I said, I realize I didn't say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and people say, because I've had people my whole life come up to me and go, thank you for that word, Lee. That was really, and I'm like, don't thank me because I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. It's like, no, dude. I mean, I don't deserve any props for that because I don't even remember what I said. You have to remind me what I said and remember that I don't, that just happens to be one of those minuscule times where I let go of my control and allowed him to do what he did, because unfortunately there's not as, I say that like it happens all the time, but I don't let go as much as I should. I mean, I try to be in that place as much as possible, but yeah.
And for those that are listening or those that will watch later, that's not a contradictory statement. Here we are saying that we have free will and God doesn't operate in us. But when God speaks and we allow him to speak through us, it's just almost as if beyond what we can do in the natural, we think from the scripture that we know, we think from the prayers that we've prayed. It's not a body takeover, invasion of the body snatchers. It's just a divine input. Sometimes we go, how did I think of that? Or where did that come from? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, that's probably the Holy Spirit working.
Yeah. And I've made the free will choice to allow that to come, because you can absolutely block that with your free will.
Oh yeah.
You can absolutely block any input from God on your free will. He's still standing there. He's still there.
Yeah.
And he still knows what you're going to do, but he knows that if it's may not be the right thing to do, but he's going to allow you to make that choice. And that's the choice that you have to make. So, I mean,
well, just back to the story we were talking about Noah real quick.
Yeah. We said his name.
He was calling. Yeah, it's okay. Voldemort. He was sitting there pining over this decision. It's been lots of nights of lost sleep and annoying conversations that get confrontational, and it stressed him out so much. And we just kept saying, "Hey, buddy, we're praying for you. We're praying that you say the right words." He goes, "Dad, can you say that again? I want to write that down. I want to say it just like you just said." And it's like, "No, you say it like you say." And at the end of the day, he texts us, and it was like, "Oh yeah, it was easy. He was fine." He's like, "Yeah, I'd love to work with you again if that's possible. If you want to do some freelance for me, great. But no problem."
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
All that stress was just gone.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, his words were led by the Spirit, and it was disarming.
Yeah.
And made it possible for that to happen. So.
That's absolutely right. I mean, you want to prepare, but then you prepare, and then you let go.
Yeah.
You get in there and let it go and just say, just do what you prepared, but let the Holy Spirit lead you. Uh-oh. Noah Morgan's listening and watching. Thanks,
is he?
Dad. Yes, he is.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks, Dad. You the man.
Rock the world.
Yes, he does. He's amazing. So that's cool. I just looked down and saw that Noah commented. Ah, that's awesome. Love to have him tuning in to see this. This is cool. Yeah, but he is extremely talented, and there's so much more in store, because we know as 55-year-olds and getting up there anyway, that there's so much more to go in life. There's so much more happening, so many more adventures. There's so much more as far as that's concerned that's going on in the world. We can't fret over stuff. I will tell you this is for Noah too. My sister has her own consulting company now for designing training, and she went to school for it. She's really good at it. And she had a similar situation. She was working for a company doing their training, and they bumped somebody up. She already had been to a place. She worked for Panera, and they put her into a place where she had so much responsibility beyond what she was doing. It just drove her crazy. So she left and went and just started her own thing. And then she went to work for Freddie Mac, which is where she was working. And they were, constantly, like most, and it's not really a government agency, but constantly putting people in different places, moving people around. And she had always said, "I just want to do design. I just want to do design. I don't want to be in charge of anybody, whatever." Because they often asked her, "Hey, listen, there's a VP position open. We'd like to put you." And she's like, "Nah, I'm happy where I am. There's less stress. I don't have to worry about what other people produce." Anyway, but they kept putting these people in, and one day they put in somebody who is just absolutely major conflict. Just didn't work. I'm not going to get into details, but it just wasn't going to work. And so she said later, I'm sure just like Noah had to deal with. And now she can't get enough work, and she gets a lot of it from there. A lot of freelance work she gets from them because they know how good she is, And so, and by the way, that person got bounced because, they realized too late, unfortunately for Charla, but they realized that she was useless in the position she was in. And Charlotte could have told him that, but that's not what she's going to, that's not how she works. She doesn't operate that way. She doesn't do that, and they never asked her. So she's not going to volunteer that information. If they'd asked her, she'd be happy to give them a little critique. Right. But that was the thing, she was in this place. She was feeling that squeeze and decided, I can't deal with this person. I know what I am. I know what I can do. I know how confident I am. And it came, she said, I was telling her too, you need to go back to your consulting because you are happy doing that because you're working for yourself and you're doing your own thing and you can choose what jobs you want to do. Yeah. You can choose your freelance jobs. And that's a great position to be in. I'll say to Noah if he's still watching.
Yeah.
It's a great position to be in, to be able to choose. And when you're as good as you are and good as Charlotte is, you have a lot of people will start knocking on your door saying, hey, I need a little consulting on this. I need a little advice on this. I need you to shoot this for me, whatever. So anyway, that's where that all is. And we went way over time, which I'm glad we did because we got Noah to listen in a little bit and chime in. So that was cool. But Dan, thanks for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure, bud.
Next week, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
Let's talk on Tuesday night if we can.
Okay. I'll try and give you a holler just to give you a heads up. All right.
All right,
you and I are too much alike. When I was like, oh, he's not in there. That's me. Anyway. All right, my brother. I love you very much. Thank you very much for everything.
Loved your family, bud.
I will. Same back at you, brother. I know Noah already knows where I'm at with him. He's phenomenal. And I'm such a big soccer fan. I loved the couple times I got to see him play. That was really good stuff.
I miss seeing games like that. Yeah.
I know. Don't you? I mean, I'm becoming a huge women's national team and women's, like our local Washington Spirit team. What do they have in Cleveland? They have a women's team in Cleveland?
I don't know.
Probably do. If they have an MLS team, do they have an MLS team in Cleveland?
I don't know that either. I mean, I'm still sort of getting used to
Columbus.
Is it Columbus?
Columbus has a team,
right.
Columbus Crew. So
That's
there's probably a Columbus women's team as well.
Okay.
Because wherever they find that soccer now, people are now coming out to the women's games as much as they're coming out to the men's games.
That's good.
Which is fantastic, right? Exactly. So, but anyway, so the Washington Spirit, I'm going to start getting some gear and my scarf and maybe go out and see some games. But I'm getting excited about it. So, and one of my kids from Falls Church High School, no, Jeb Stewart High School where I was, I didn't coach there. I coached at Falls Church, but I used to go out to all the girls' games because they were phenomenal. And she's on the Washington Spirit. She just graduated from Boston University, and she's playing for the Washington Spirit. So I got an Anna Helferty. You got a girl I can go and I know and I've seen, and I can go and see her and she'll wave at me, and that's exciting. To have that player out there who recognizes you and says hello, and it's like I feel so proud and popular. That'll be the fun part of going to those games. Anyway, thanks, buddy. You're great. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Peace out to you, brother.